Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back in. Welcome back in to another episode of Eliminate the Gray. Today's episode is all about the quarterback. So, just based on how things have gone in the offseason for the Cleveland Browns, I decided I would follow up and I will watch these college quarterbacks to see how they were doing. And that's what I've been doing. On Tuesday mornings, I do about 45 minutes to an hour just reviewing some of the top quarterbacks in college who are draft eligible. And these are the quarterbacks who were consensus top picks or top pick worthy prior to the college football season started. So what I'm noticing now is a lot of these guys are not performing. So now since they're not performing, there's a lot of switcheroo happening. Oh, not this guy. Now we're hearing Mateer from Oklahoma. Mateer from Oklahoma just got hurt. Shout out to Kyler. Kyler was talking about Dante Moore. Dante Moore is, I believe, a redshirt freshman, so he might be eligible to enter into the draft. We'll see how his season goes. I thought he did really well against Penn State. Also, there's a lot of belief in him from his coach and also his OC. So that was a plus. But the guys who they said were the guys who they said the Browns would be tanking for, the guys who they said would all be unanimous number one picks if they came out last year, those guys are not the guys. They're not the guys. They're not. What's good, Kyler? Yeah, I like Dante Moore. I'm definitely going to get to see more of him as they get into more play in the Big Ten. So I'll definitely see more of him. But the guys that they said were the guys are not the guys. I'm talking about the K Klubniks, the Drew Allers. Those are the Arch Mannings, the Garrett Nussmeiers. They're not who we were told to believe who they were prior to the college football season starting. So they're not those guys. And in turn, I've had to adapt. I've had to adjust. So on yesterday's podcast, BF from Ohio, I wasn't really speaking on Cam Ward. And I said that the reason why I wasn't speaking on it was because I thought Shedeur was a better prospect coming into the NFL. And I wasn't really going to spend a year just kind of bashing the guy when I saw he would rely on his arm talent versus his fundamentals too often. He's throwing across his body too often. He gets that success and he continues to do it. And he is a risk taker and looking for more deep shots than him actually just taking what the defense is giving him. And then also he is not in the best situation after I've reviewed the tape. So just taking that feedback and taking that criticism and saying, hey, it's not hating if you just call it how you see it. I said, you know what? The name of this is Eliminate the Gray. There's no gray area that I'm going to use to skate or skirt around things. So we're going to update these things. We're going to adjust and we're going to reevaluate how we spend Tuesday mornings. So with that being said, we're going to be looking at rookie QBs in the NFL as well who were compared to Shedeur, and we're going to add them as they start to start. So Jaxson Dart, he's got his first start this week. He's on the board this week. Cam Ward has been the starter so far in their first 4 games. Cam Ward is on the board this week. And also, as we add new NFL rookies, we're going to just kick some people off the board. We're going to kick them off the board. And we're not going to spend, I'm not going to spend time watching every one of their snaps 2 and 3 times, trying to see if they identify pre and post snap. And I'm not doing it because these guys are not the guys. And the first 2 guys to fall off of the mountain are K Klubnik and Drew Aller. K Klubnik falls off the mountain because he has so many returning starters. Good morning, Beast. Shout out, Beast. What's up to you? K Klubnik is off the mountain because he is underperforming this year. You can speed him up, and you can tell they're scrambling and desperate based on the way Dabo is speaking to the media. You can tell that it's pressure there, and they're succumbing to the pressure. They are not able to handle the pressure and press on. So K Klubnik, he is off. I've watched 3 or 4 weeks of his games. He is off the mountain. I'm not watching his games no more. Done. Finished. Finito. The next person off the mountain is Drew Aller. I never had faith in Drew Aller. I look at Drew Aller very similar to how I look at J.J. McCarthy. They're in a system. They have talented, skilled players. They have a steady flow of offensive alignment every year for their team, and they are not the difference maker. Every week I'm watching Penn State play, and it seems like they are protecting Drew Aller from himself almost. They're not opening up the playbook. They are doing so much to lean on the run. And to me, that's not a guy you taking in the top 5 that's going to turn around a franchise. I know he's a Browns fan, and I know he has desire to be on the Browns, but it's all about performance. I'm not the Cleveland Browns. I'm not doing things based on outside factors. I'm going based on what you do on the field first. If you don't perform on the field, there's no point in me even looking at you off the field to see or make sure everything is clean there. So Drew Aller, he's off the mountain. Now let's get to who's on the mountain, who remains on the mountain. So let me get this updated here. Let's put this here. Let's get this Chrome tab up. And then let's get to the mountain. So this is the new QB mountain. Showing week 4 because we added those NFL quarterbacks. They're in week 4. College is in week 5. Now, I'm going to show you guys who has a bye week every week. If you're still on the mountain and you got a bye week, you're going to be to the left of the screen. So you see Carson Beck and you see Arch Manning. Arch Manning is holding on by a thread. Carson Beck is holding on by a thread. I didn't have faith in Carson Beck coming into the year. I said it on the first episode. I have bias towards him, and that hasn't changed. He looked good for a couple weeks. He threw some bad interceptions in a win, and he didn't look good at all last week. So that's who had a bye. Let's get to who is first up on the mountain. Now, this is going to be controversial, and some people don't like my critique of this guy, but I have to call what I see. First up on the mountain is LaNorris Sellers. LaNorris Sellers on the bottom row of the mountain, and he's in the I need to see more from you category. And this is what I like about him. Athleticism, him and Sam Leavitt, the most athletic QBs I've seen. Arm talent, can he make the throws? Is he capable? Is there? Yes, he can. Kyler, I agree with you. Beck is not the guy. Man, hold on. Let me adjust this sound in my ear. Let's do a little adjustment real quick. That's way too loud. Hopefully it wasn't too loud for y'all. All right, we got that adjusted. Yeah, Beck is not the guy. I'm not believing him. So I like his athleticism. I like his arm talent. I like that he's a physical runner when he does run. Those are positives. His decision making is questionable in certain spots. Like his situational decision making is questionable. And then also he misses just the open guys more often than I would like. So when they scheme up something or they have a defensive bust, it happened last week, it happened a couple weeks ago, he just misses on the throw. And he has to clean that up. So he has to work on that accuracy. The issue is he'll come right back and he'll throw a perfect pass in a harder situation. So that's kind of confusing to me. So I don't know if he's just getting lazy on the open throws, more dialed in on the harder throws. I'm not sure. He takes sacks due to his athleticism and his ability to escape the pocket. He took a sack and a safety a couple weeks. He took a safety for a sack. I didn't like. He had a check down and nobody was on. He could have went right to the check down. Instead, he took the safety. This past week, he took a sack where he's trying to stiff arm a D lineman to break off of him. He ends up losing, I believe, 15 yards on the play when he took that sack. So when that situation happens, that's decision making. You got to know when the defense won the rep. So I think he is still teetering on when the defense won the rep and when his athleticism can get him out of a situation. Also, this week, his team just was the better team. They ran the ball well. The defense forced turnovers. I can't remember if this week they got a punt score. Let me look at it real quick. But this week it was what just happened here? Okay, here we go. This week, it was a lot about the rest of his team. Zedrick, what's good? Good morning, bro. So I would say this week is less about LaNorris Sellers, more about his team. It was a great team win. They got a nice win, but we just weren't able to see as much. Even if you look at his attempts, we'll check out his stats. His stats were 11 for 14, 153 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, 94.8 QBR. So not bad, not great. Just kind of, we won. We were the better team. So that's the first person on the mountain. Man, I've been off the screen this whole time. That's all right. Let's get to the next person on the mountain. Next, we got Garrett Nussmeier, and I will return to the screen. I got so into it. All right, so we got Garrett Nussmeier. I'm back, y'all. I'm here. We got Garrett Nussmeier. They took an L this week. LSU took an L to Ole Miss. And as I'm watching this game, I'm seeing him start off early. He started off really well. Garrett Nussmeier did. Let me get to my notes here. All right, here go my notes. All right, so yeah, he did. He started out really well on the second drive, made a great throw. To the right side of the end zone. It went through a guy's hand. His receiver dove, caught it. So he made a great catch. So that he got bailed out by his receiver. It was just a great play on the tip pass. Again, when these guys are throwing interceptions, their interceptions are so bad, they are not seeing guys drop right down and sit right in front of the guy that they're staring down on the whole play. That's what happened on his interception. He did lead them on another scoring drive, but I just have to see more from him, and he's not giving it that. He's not giving us that yet. The first couple weeks, he was probably the most consistent. Now he's kind of tapering off, and he's one of those guys who this is his last year eligibility, so he might fall off the mountain if he doesn't do better. And we doing this in 4-week intervals. So 4 weeks after you fall off the mountain, you can come back on the mountain if you turn things around. But I'm not going to spend all the time breaking down all your film if you fall off the mountain. And these guys who have no more eligibility left, they're going to be the ones who fall off the mountain faster. So just to let y'all know, that is Garrett Nussmeier. So next up on the mountain, we have someone who has been performing really well. He is starting to deal with the competition in the Big Ten. This is Fernando Mendoza. He put together stellar back-to-back weeks. He was playing really well. He was balling out. This week, it was a little bit tougher for him playing Iowa. And in this game, let's get to the notes. Let's get to my notes. So in this game playing Iowa, it was definitely a tougher game. The defense started off with a splash. They got an interception right away. They got a quick score. I believe they scored within like the first 2 or 3 snaps of the game. Really quick. Boom, jumped on the board. And at first you're looking like, okay, this could be something good. He was showing accuracy. They kind of stalled out a couple drives. At the end of the first half, he made a great throw, got him set up for a long field goal. They made it. One thing I noticed more so than I've seen in recent games from him is the pressure was really getting to Fernando Mendoza in this game. And then also you see times where it's weird. So he had a great run attempt for a 3rd and 15 where he got about 13 yards. And then on another play, you see him, he can't get away from a defender for 3 yards. So his athleticism is weird. I like the fact that he stood in the pocket. He took some punishment for standing in the pocket and making the throws. But, that's going to come with it. That's part of being a quarterback. They sent a 0 blitz on him. And this is what happened to Cade Klubnik, and this is why I moved off of Cade Klubnik. When they would start to blitz Cade Klubnik and he would be sped up, he didn't have an answer. And they sent a 0 blitz at Mendoza this game, and he threw a second touchdown on the 0 blitz. He stood in there, and he took the hit, and he did it. So I thought those were positives. He has to clean up on the interception. That's why he's not the top of the board this week. Also, I totally understand, after rewatching this game, it was a big thing this weekend of him running out the clock and running through the back of the touchdown, giving up the 2 points, but them securing the win. And this also happened in the NFL. At first, I was like, this is a weird thing. Why did they do it? But watching this game and how this game was, they had to fight for everything they got in this game. They didn't want to put the ball in harm's way. They didn't want to take on any additional risk going against this Iowa team who was fighting, and it was a one-score game at the time. The score was 20-13 when he did this. So when that happened, I was like, okay, I get it. When I saw clips of it, I was like, this don't make sense. But after watching the game, I said, okay, I know why they did that. That made a ton of sense. Let's get to the next quarterback. Next quarterback we got up. We got Cam Ward. So we going to the NFL. We're going to the NFL. And one thing I will say about watching the NFL tape is I enjoy the fact that I can watch scenario-based things. So I can look at every pass play from Cam Ward. Then I can look at every third down from Cam Ward. And I can break those into buckets and really break down to see how he's doing. So here are Cam Ward's stats. He was 10-26, 108 yards, 1 interception. He had 2 sacks. His QBR was 27.4. So just very, very rough day for Cam Ward. So as I'm watching this, the first thought I had was everything they try to do on offense is hard. They get nothing easy on offense. And it reminded me of the Cleveland Browns, where the Browns, they get nothing easy on offense. And to me, once you identify they're not getting anything easy, you realize it's because the offensive play caller is not putting them in a position, or they're not knowing the tendencies of the defense. So in particular, I noticed that cover one gave them problems. Cover one gives the Browns problems. Cover one gave them problems because it's so much congestion in the middle of the field. Everybody's manning up, and you need guys running away from guys. And if your routes aren't designed with guys running away from guys to beat man, in cover one, you're not going to beat it. So I noticed that. Another thing I noticed was they didn't always disguise cover one. So if it's a automatic throwing situation or passing down, they would just be cover one. They would just put the safety high and just say beat us. And when teams do that to you, I think it's the most disrespectful thing, because they know you can't identify what to do to beat them in that scenario. And so I'm seeing some of the same issues I see with the Browns in cover one. Cover one also takes away the middle of the field. So quick, easy throws across the middle of the field, they're done. You don't get those in cover one, because that middle linebacker can blitz. That middle linebacker can stay in the middle of the field. He can cover. So it's just so much flexibility you get running cover one, especially if you're not worried about receivers beating you deep on the outside. Cover one's a good people problems. I saw them go to cover 6, and when they went to cover 6, he couldn't identify cover 6. And he rushed and threw a quick throw to the cover 2 side of cover 6. And in that instance, everybody dropped back on the cover 4 side. The running back was wide open out the backfield. So they really kind of threw him off there. Then also they went into a lot of cover 3. And to me, I'm noticing that teams can go from what looks like too high shell and drop it down to cover 1 easily and end up in cover 3. And that's really throwing people off. So the offense looks similar to the Browns. He made a good throw across it. It was a good throw, but it was a throw you should make, where he threw it across his body. He attempted that 3 or 4 more times in the game, and he didn't have the same success that he had on first down, or the first time he attempted it. And that's fool's gold. Fool's gold is when you do something you know you're not supposed to do and you get success from it, you try to go back to it, and it never works again, and that's what happened. So defenses are inviting him making these throws across his body because he believes in his arm talent, but eventually that stuff is just going to get picked off every time. So it's just throws you can't make. He puts the ball in harm's way way more than I like, and this is something that I saw him do in college. He's already doing it in the NFL. So their offense looks really similar to the Browns. It's not really going anywhere. So they just got some struggles. A lot of issues that the Browns, and I see with the Titans, is because the play caller is not giving the quarterback the answers when they identify what the defense is doing. And that's where the disconnect is. So they got them sped up. They're calling zone beaters when they're in man. They're calling man beaters when they're in zone. And it's just off, and it's off balance, and they're making it hard. That's what's happening. And then also another plus to cover one is you have so many people around the line of scrimmage, it deters you from running the ball up the middle. So it just, cover one is a defense that's really giving people a lot of problems. if you have the middle linebacker that could do his job in the middle of the field. So that's what I see from Cam Ward. He's not on the top, but he's added to the mountain. Who we got next on the mountain? Next up, this is the highest rated college QB of the week. Do they attempt to establish a run? I haven't watched Tennessee much so far. They try to, but the problem is they'll just see 9 guys in the box. You see 9 guys in the box, you can run into that brick wall if you want to. So, I mean, they rush it. Tony Pollard had 14 carries for 64 yards. Cam Ward had 2 scramble drills that were pretty good. He had 2 for 22 yards. The issue is when the run is there, it's usually in passing situations. So they open it up and say, hey, you can run on us. We'll put the 2 high safeties back because you need 9 or 10 yards. So then you try to catch them off guard with a draw play like Kevin Stefanski does, and then it doesn't work. So decent amount of attempts, I would say, for Tony Pollard, averaging 4.6 yards. But to me, they never fear the run game enough. They never fear it enough to try to switch it up. These defenses are doing whatever they want to do to these offenses. And that's a problem in Tennessee, and that's a problem with the Cleveland Browns. So it's almost, let me get back on the screen. We're going to get to Sam Leavitt right after this question. These teams, so I've really been learning about offenses, and what we normally hear is, oh, you run to establish the pass. The problem with that is if you're a West Coast-based offense, the West Coast system, you pass to open up the run. And it's backwards. But that's how the West Coast system is ran. It's ran in reverse. So what they want to do is try to get big shots downfield. That'll make you put your safeties back, and then we'll dominate you on the run and lean on the run game as the game progresses. So the normal way that we're always taught is you run first, but the basis of the West Coast starts with passing to open up the run. I heard Kevin Stefanski say that a couple years ago, and I was like, that don't make sense. But as I'm looking more into the basis of the offenses that the offensive system that these guys run, some of it is not what we are used to hearing all the time. So I think that's it. Running that West Coast offense, that's what it's going to do to you. That's what it's going to do. And then also, everybody's blaming the offensive line. Man, all of this stuff is not on the offensive line. That's another thing I'm adding. If y'all notice, find me the team that's not doing well where they're not blaming the offensive line. They blame every offensive line. It's about 3 offensive line that they say are doing well. But then when you really look at it, that's not always the case. They say Detroit offensive line is the best in the league. Then you hear people say, oh, the Philadelphia Eagles got the best offensive line. Their offense is looking really shaky. Saquon Barkley this Sunday averaged less than 3 yards a carry. Everybody is taking out the run in Philly, and they're saying Jalen Hurts beat us, and then they got a new play caller that's conservative. So everybody just blaming the offensive line. When your plays don't work, blame the offensive line. So it's crazy. It's crazy. Let's get to Sam Leavitt. Sam Leavitt is the highest QB we got on the board this week. And the reason why Sam Leavitt is the highest on the board this week is because he went against a ranked team. He willed this team and got them to the victory at the end of the game. So let me get my notes on Sam. This is Arizona State. This was the Friday night game. So I like that these games were spread out. His stats were he was 27 of 39, 291 yards, 2 touchdowns, QBR is 74.4. He also had a rushing touchdown. So my notes for Sam Leavitt. Great deep throw to Tyson for a TD to keep them in the game because it looked like TCU could run away with the game. He got lucky. Sam Leavitt, he is right up there in athleticism with LaNorris Sellers. He is right up there with him. So I'm with you, Cedric. His athleticism and his arm is there. He leans on his arm talent a little bit too much and will throw. He'll try to make throws off base. But when it comes to athleticism, he looks like a video game character when D linemen are trying to get to him in the backfield. It's crazy. He has spin moves, jukes, everything. So it's crazy. That's one of my next notes. He had another highlight reel run before the 2-minute warning in the second quarter. He rushed He had a rush TD for the second score to keep the game close because they were playing from behind all game. He did have a fumble during the 2-minute drill where he just didn't have two hands on the ball to protect it. That's an issue. Got to clean that up. So no picks, but he did have the fumble when they could have went in. He got another score while they were on a good 2-minute drill drive in the second quarter. Yeah, the spin move was crazy, man. It was crazy. And like if you're a D lineman, what do you do when a quarterback can move like that? Like his that spin move he did was lethal. It's funny because every week in my notes I'm highlighting something he does that looks like a video game. So every week, he led his team down the field. He tied the game up late. The defense got the interception at the end of the game. As TCU seemed like they were just trying to burn the clock down, but he let his team down. They got the field goal. They win the game. So it was a great game. This was a great game. It was good that I got to see like quarterbacks where I only watched that quarterback. So this being a Friday night game, I missed a very good game with Virginia and Florida State, but I watched this game live, start to finish, took my notes. I also watched the Penn State game. And those games, that's when I really can see what's going on because I'm watching it in the moment. So when you're watching the game back, you're not really getting that same feel in the moment, especially when you already know the result. But watching this game in the moment, I was like, yes, he's due. He's the top quarterback on the mountain this week for college QBs. Now, the last quarterback on the mountain, he's the top NFL rookie quarterback this week. It's going to be Jaxson Dart. And before I even get into Jaxson Dart, I'm going to say this. And I'm going to keep saying this. I don't believe Brian Daboll is the best head coach. What he did to get Jaxson Dart ready, he's been decisive with what he's doing with quarterback. More decisive than you see in Cleveland. I applaud him for those things. Also, it was reported he spent 10 hours with Jaxson Dart one day just prepping. They spent 10 hours together, you know what I'm saying, in the offices, just prepping, getting him ready for this game. You don't hear these things when it comes to other quarterback situations. So I when that happened, kind of perked my ears up because I haven't been the highest on Jaxson Dart because I just thought he didn't have enough on his plate in college. Zedric, you onto something. When you believe in a quarterback, you match their energy. You'll even exceed their energy to show how much you believe in them. Yeah, 10 hours. They spent 10 hours together prepping him, just Brian Daboll and Jaxson Dart at the facility, getting him ready for this start. That's another level. You never hear that from Cleveland. You never hear that. So that's a different level of I believe in you, and it showed. They made sure he felt really comfortable in this game. They made sure he felt comfortable. They didn't put too much on his plate. It was a read. They kept high and low Derwin James, and they were playing off Derwin James whenever he would come down. When Derwin James would come down and he would be kind of capping like he was guarding the tight end, but he wasn't, they're locked in. The team is bought in too. I agree. They believe in Jaxson Dart. They believe in Scatterbull. Scatterbull is a running back I wanted. If we could have caught him late, we couldn't. But I like Scatterbull coming out. So they believe in the team. You see the excitement. You see the excitement from the offensive line. They kept high and low in Derwin James when he was trying to fake him out when he was coming near the line of scrimmage, and he always made the read. And it's a simple read. You got the inside man. He's running like an out route. You got the low guy. No. I said that wrong. I got to figure out the name of the route. I'm so excited to say it because they kept running the same thing on Derwin James. But basically, you got the running back coming out the backfield. He just running out to the outside. Just your check down is there. You got the outside receiver running like a 5-yard out route. And then you have the inside receiver running up into the outside like you want to beat cover 2. So when they kept giving him that read and they were high and low in Derwin James, they ran that like 3 times. It worked every time. They gave him a decent amount of run plays so he can use his legs. The first TD they scored was on a quarterback run, 15-yard run for a touchdown. So they made him so comfortable. They were able to confuse him a little bit. So let me see my notes because I think I wrote down when they confused him. All right, so he made him when he was confident. Okay. I didn't even okay, got it. Here it is. Here it is in my notes. Basically told him, do you this game, to think they thought he was crazy putting him in against the Chargers. So you onto something right there, Zedric. You onto something. When you are trying to find a soft landing spot for your quarterback, doesn't that mean you don't believe in them as much? Like they're saying, let me go on a tangent for a second. They're saying Dylan Gabriel shouldn't go in against Minnesota, which, hey, we're at this point. You made this bed, you got to lay in it. Play Dylan Gabriel because Flacco is trash. It's also, I was listening to some stuff this morning. They're saying that Kevin Stefanski still believes in Flacco. Basically, Kevin Stefanski's plan was to get Flacco through Pittsburgh Steelers game. It's trash, so he's trying to stick with that plan. There's some disagreement within the organization that's coming out that they don't know which way they want to go. They almost started Dylan Gabriel versus Detroit. So that's what's been, now everything is coming out. So that shows me a lack of trust and a lack of belief. On the opposite end, Brian Daboll has done some things where he didn't believe in Daniel Jones or he didn't believe in this player. He is kind of righting that ship with what he's doing with Jaxson Dart. He's righting that ship. And then also, he put packages in to get Jaxson Dart live game reps every single week. Yeah, they're using Flacco as a shield. They're using Flacco as a shield for sure. So Brian Daboll has done some positive things that kind of made me change how I view him a little bit. Not as an overall head coach, but the belief and the confidence he's given Jaxson Dart, I believe he's doing that. When Jaxson Dart did hold on to the ball and take sacks, it was they were in zone coverage, and he wasn't able to identify early which coverage they were in, and that's when Jaxson Dart did have some issues. But all in all, it's a win. He didn't throw any interceptions. He kind of kept the ball from putting it in harm's way. So when you do that, that's a win, especially as a rookie, especially when Jaxson Dart was not tasked to do this at Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin's system. Lane Kiffin's system is I tell you what to do. I tell you where to go with the ball based on what I'm seeing the defense do. So I haven't been big on quarterbacks who came from out of Lane Kiffin's system, but Brian Daboll is speeding up the process for him. And if you look at, they got a really tough schedule coming up, and he already determined Jaxson Dart the starter for the rest of the year, so he's not looking over his shoulder. Kevin Stefanski's issue with quarterback is all these guys are looking over their shoulder. Flacco's looking over his shoulder. Dylan Gabriel, we believe in you enough for you to be the backup, but not enough for you to go in and start when you got to face teams. If you believe in him enough to make him the backup, it's a chance he might have to face the Steelers. It's a chance he might have to face good teams. That's part of it. You play in the AFC North. He might have to go against Baltimore. That's just what it is. You can't avoid that. So every year when they come play the Steelers, are we going to say, oh, we got to save them? Oh, we play Baltimore. We got to save them. Like, you got to put them out there. And I think my hypothesis on the reason why they're holding him back is, oh, of course, he not. Yeah, he's not spending no time. He's not spending no time building up Dylan Gabriel. And that's when you go back to that development question. So Jaxson Dart has raw talent. He has some athleticism. He has I would say a tick above average arm. Daboll spending all that time with him before his start, that's development. Find me a time where we ever heard Kevin Stefanski, this is his offense, spending all that extra time getting the guy ready. You can't find it. You can't find it. Also, it's information trickling out that they might try to keep Flacco as a starter for 2 weeks, and that Shador might not get the opportunity to start regardless of how Gabriel plays before Thanksgiving. So y'all heard it here first. I'm telling y'all, it's trickling out. Shador might not get a chance to play until after Thanksgiving. After Thanksgiving, y'all. So just don't be surprised if it plays out that way. Don't be surprised. So that's our quarterbacks for the week. I would say after this week, I'm not 100% changing on how I view Jaxson Dart, but I will say I like his confidence and I like how the moment wasn't too big, because the moment could have been too big for him. The moment was not too big. So that's definitely a positive for how I view Jaxson Dart. Yeah, hey. See, when you don't know what's happening behind what was happening behind closed doors in other facilities, then you don't know what to go based on. Everybody just says everything is development. So they say a player not playing is development. But development is spending the time giving them the answers and helping them identify things. So that's why it was key. Remember I said nobody brought up what Tom Brady said about developing quarterbacks and the play callers and all that stuff. And I said, yeah, they're not going to bring that up because it's going to point the finger at the right people. It's pointing the finger at the right people. Offensive minded coach, offensive minded play caller, and you can't get guys ready. I still haven't forgot the last game I went to for the Cleveland Browns. I went to the game where it's Baltimore. DTR, he started. We heard that morning he was going to start. DTR looked like he shouldn't have been in the NFL. I agree. So that would be systematic. That means, let me read it before I answer. Dayball helped make that easier. Russ and Jameis probably encouraged him too. I agree. That's systematic. They put the right vets around him, and then the coach also puts in the work. So they're collectively putting in work to get him ready. Now, when it comes to Cleveland, when have they collectively built a nucleus around the quarterback to get them ready and build them and develop them to get better? Because don't tell me you developed Myles Garrett. Don't tell me you developed Denzel Ward, who were easily, both of those guys were drafted top 5. You only can determine somebody developing somebody is if you take raw talent and turn it into something. Raw talent, that's what development is. Development is not you take a consistent top 5 pick and they produce. That's not development. No one behind Flacco will get that. They won't. And that's part of the reason why they got to go. And that's why I was going off yesterday where I was saying, is somebody inside the Browns who's leaking this stuff about Shador because they don't want him to play. And that means the culture is shot. The culture is shot. So I clipped up some of that and I put it on my YouTube and I put it on my TikTok. So people might say that's extreme, but think about this in another sport. Think about it in the NBA. When they have a players only meeting in the NBA, if that leaks, that team is crushed. And they're crushed because you're supposed to have a trust of what goes on in this meeting stays in this meeting. That's why it's players only. That's why coach is not there. That's why assistant coach is not there. That's why strength and development coaches are not there. So once you crack that trust, it's shot. So when you get on somebody on ESPN, which on one of their top 2 shows, because Get Up is actually the number 2 show on ESPN behind First Take. When you get somebody on there telling you where Shador Sanders is sitting in the meeting room, who's in the meeting room? The media is not in the meeting room. That is a Browns staff member, somebody who, when they get their check, it says Cleveland Browns on it. Exactly. After Thanksgiving is telling me they plan to be out of the playoff race by then, no expectation to win. I agree. So then you're not really going to get the best out of the whole team. And then look at how injuries could pile up at that point. A lot of stuff can happen by then. And then if you're on your 3rd quarterback, that means you already had 2 flame out. How do you have the same play caller calling the plays by then? So it's just, it's a bad situation. And that's why I said yesterday it's sabotage, because sabotage is when you send out things and say things to hurt a person's character, to hurt a person's to hurt how a person is viewed in the public. When you're sending that stuff out, that's sabotage. And people were right to call it sabotage when you had Albert Beer saying Shador couldn't read the playbook. That was sabotage. That's coming. Who is that coming from? Because then when you ask Albert Bear the question, who would you start or who you have in the lead in a quarterback competition, he says, I'm not there. That means somebody fed him the information. And all the information we heard about Shedeur since the draft, none of it is quantifiable. None of it is quantifiable. So stay with me for a second, y'all. I used to be a recruiter, and I used to do high volume recruiting. When I would recruit and I'm sending stores talent, they would tell me that's not a quality candidate. No, don't tell me it's not quality. Tell me what this person lacks that you're looking for. So if you're looking for somebody that has 5 years electrical experience, tell me that. That's quantifiable. Everything that came out about Shedeur, none of it is quantifiable. None of it is quantifiable. And from the beginning, I've been calling it out as garbage, and it's been intentional for people to make him look a certain way, and that's what it is. Because it's not quantifiable. Where he sits in the meeting room should not determine if he gets the ability to compete. Now, this morning, you got people on the radio saying, oh, Shedeur wasn't part of the quarterback competition. You think? I said that months ago because he could, even if he played good, when he did play good, he didn't move up. So that showed me it wasn't a quarterback competition. That showed me when Dylan Gabriel was throwing interceptions early. Of course they will. Of course they will. Now local media is doubling down on the narrative Rex started. Yeah, I was waiting for Tony Grossi to get to that. I had to start. Tony Grossi was on ESPN radio. I was trying to wait to listen to him and some other 92.3 The Fan. I can't listen to these people for too long, so I try to find when they get to the point of what I'm trying to hear about, how they view it. But my issue with it is that information should not be coming out. Tell me where any other third string quarterback sits in any other team. Where does Kyle McCord sit in the quarterback room in Philly? Where does Quinn Ewers sit in the quarterback room or in meeting rooms in the Miami Dolphins? Where do these guys sit? And my issue that everybody just agrees that, man, he has to be doing something wrong. That takes away the incompetence that could be there. That takes away they can't identify what a quarterback should be. That takes away they can't identify talent. So on one breath, all these people are saying the Browns don't have talent in all these different places on the team. The Browns have had, I think, 40 quarterbacks since 99. Something like that. Something crazy. But I'm supposed to believe that you can identify that this quarterback is not it after you drafted him? None of that makes sense. None of it makes sense. It's the same way where Luka, after Luka was traded, they came out and said all this bad stuff about him after he was traded. After Michael Parsons was traded, they came out and said all this bad stuff about him. I don't believe those bad things people say after you get rid of the person. This is to combat what Shedeur was stating last week. They don't want to believe he's ready. The Cleveland Browns, and I was thinking about adding this as a key point of the show for tomorrow. The Cleveland Browns have been fighting a media battle about Shedeur Sanders since they drafted him. The way that Andrew Berry spoke to Shedeur when they called him, that was for show. When Mary Kay Cabot early on said, "Oh, the Browns are not going to succumb to the outside pressure to start Shedeur," she said that in rookie minicamp. Where do you think she's getting that from? Albert Beer saying Shedeur can't read a playbook. Zach Jackson this morning said Shedeur is not going to play till after Thanksgiving. No chance. Where do you think they're getting this stuff from? All Rex do is lie. It's pictures of Shedeur sitting in the front. I saw that too. Remember, I said if you look at the meeting room and how the quarterback room is set up, it's only 2 tables. It's not really a back. And he wasn't at the back. And then when they show the pictures, now this is where the conflict comes in at. Because that is all stuff that the Cleveland Browns put out. So The evidence to defend Shedeur is not coming from people leaking it. The evidence to defend Shedeur is based on everything the Cleveland Browns put out. That means the Cleveland Browns are the one who are saying these things. That's what it is. I also heard somebody this morning say Dillon Gabriel talks their language. And I said that yesterday, and I didn't even, before I heard this, I heard somebody say Dillon Gabriel speaks Andrew Berry, Kevin Stefanski's language. That's why they believed in him. I heard somebody say that. That don't have nothing to do with playing. I heard when I was looking into a lot of stuff with the draft, the consultant that worked with the Cleveland Browns when they drafted Baker Mayfield, he was telling different stories about draft blunders that he had encountered or seen. It's crazy. Tyler Shuck, I saw that exact clip. How you compare him to Tyler Shuck to justify him not being ready? Tyler Shuck is the quarterback that came out of nowhere that every year the NFL falls for a quarterback who wasn't that good, but they try to sell themselves on intangibles and the physical upside of them, and they flame out. It happens every single year. Every single year there's a quarterback who fits that mold. Tyler Shuck was just that quarterback this year. Tyler Shuck was never that good. Remember, they can't use tangible things when it comes to why Shedeur is not ready. Nothing they say is tangible. They're not saying, you know what, in rookie minicamp, Shedeur misquoted 20 out of 28 plays. They can't say that. That would be tangible. Because then once you start putting tangible things to it, you got to be able to, you can look at other people and find their tangible things and determine if they actually did it better. They're never going to say, oh, he threw this many interceptions, he threw this many incompletions. Remember before the Carolina game, they said it was operational. They said they thought he couldn't get the guys lined up at the line of scrimmage, and there will be operational issues with him getting the play in. And now every quarterback you see has a band where they're calling the plays on their wristband. And they said Shedeur couldn't get them guys lined up. It wasn't this big bunch of pre-snap penalties. They always talking about Shedeur is entitled and have a bad ego. I think when you have a polarizing person, you can just say stuff about him that's not true, and you know that half of the people just gonna believe it without it being true. And that's an issue that Shedeur has. Half of the people just gonna believe it straight up. They just gonna believe it. So that's the thing you have on your side when you have a polarizing player. People just gonna believe it. So it's also, and I'm gonna put this case together that everything in the NFL is up to date except for how to view the quarterback. Zedric, you are correct. I was at the game. He was rolling his wrist saying, get the play in, get the play in, get the play in. You are correct. He was telling Kevin Stefanski to get the play in. He was telling him that. People say they want honesty. They don't really want honesty. Cam Ward came out and called out his team and said nobody's playing good. And then you get Ocho saying he likes it. You get Shannon Sharp saying, as the quarterback, you can't do that. And I take exception to that because we let everybody else talk a certain way except the quarterback. And the same way people just repeat these old tripes on how a quarterback has to act, those same tripes are used to hold mostly black quarterbacks back. And I'm not the person that always bring race into it. I'm very hesitant to bring race into situations, but those are the old tripes that people keep perpetuating and they don't even realize it. When Shannon Sharp was saying, as a quarterback, you can't do that, he's telling you as quarterback, you can't be who you are. You can't speak how you are. The problem is nobody called out Jaxson Dart. They asked Jaxson Dart who his celebrity crush was. Jaxson Dart said his celebrity crush was Justin Herbert's girlfriend. I think that is way worse than calling your teammates out for not playing well. Both of them are quarterbacks. I think what Jaxson Dart did and said was more immature than what Cam Ward did and said. And nobody had an issue with it. Those Mandarin comments by AB are put into context now. They want him to conform. I remember that when he was speaking during the I believe that was the Rams game during halftime before Shador got in. He was saying, oh, it's just he has to speak a different language. Yeah, we want him to speak our language. The problem is your language is the language of losers. You can get people to change how they do things when you have a track record of success. You cannot get people to change things when you don't have a track record of success. Brian Daboll can say, hey, call to play like this. And you know what he can, what's the one card Brian Daboll can always go to when he's talking to a quarterback? It's one card. Let me see if y'all get it. He can always go to when he's speaking to another quarterback when he's telling the quarterback to do something a certain way. What card can he pull that'll automatically earn the respect? He can always say, who do you think had the most impressive win this Sunday? Give me a second. Let me get this thought out, and then I'll let you know. Brian Daboll can always go to, look what Josh Allen was, and look what he was when I left. Track record of success. The Cleveland Browns, who can you say has a track record of success? You can't say it about Andrew Berry because most of his, there you go, Zedric, you got it, Josh Allen. That's correct. You can't say Andrew Berry because once you really break down every player that Andrew Berry has drafted, he has a very low hit rate. Very low. Lower than other GMs. You look at Kevin Stefanski. He is under 500. So he is a losing, in full context, he is a losing head coach. And losing is based on his overall record as a head coach. Losing head coach. So are these the people that I'm changing everything for? When I come from a background of winning, it's always a conflict when you have a loser mentality and you bring in guys who've won, it always is a clash. And the clash is because the guys who've won, they know exactly what winning looks like, and they would know what losing looks like. And for Cleveland Browns, it looks like losing. So their voice doesn't mean anything when they're telling you do it and say it this way. When they're putting all this emphasis on snapping the ball and, oh, you got to sound like Joe Flacco when you're in your cadence when you're saying snap the ball. That don't have nothing to do with you actually playing the game. So when you put this emphasis on these things outside of the game, you don't get that respect. And that's what the Browns don't have. The Browns don't have respect. So they can't go in here and tell guys, change, speak, do, say it my way. They can't do it. So that's what we'll say about the Browns. We're going to get more into the Browns tomorrow. We're going to get more into the quarterbacks tomorrow. I'm really looking at the direction of how I'm looking at the direction of how I'm going to take tomorrow's episode. So just looking at this stuff, let me see. Most impressive. Neither one of the games last night was impressive to me. Let's work backwards. The Sunday night game was a tie, so I wouldn't call that impressive. Really going through this, man, this is tough. Most impressive, I got to go Giants over the Chargers. Just looking at it and really going back through it. None of these other games really, it's not that much shock value to them. Maybe the Jaguars 49ers will be in there too. But those are the only two where you say, okay, that was impressive. The rest of them, they're just ho-hum. Teams won, they should have won. So that'll be the answer to your question, Harris Room Sports. So just wanted to get this quick pod in today. In my opinion, the Pats. But the Pats didn't really beat a good team. I don't think Carolina's that good. I think Carolina looked good against Atlanta because Atlanta was bad. But I think if you took away parts of it, so if you say like Drake may look good at doing this, or I would agree with you there. But like overall as teams, yeah, I would definitely say a rookie quarterback coming in versus the Chargers and what they made Patrick Mahomes look like in week 1 what they've made teams look like coming into this being undefeated. So I would say that one. Yeah, or I would say Jaguars because I don't believe in Trevor Lawrence. And every game he goes out there and proves me wrong, I'm going to give him props for it. And also, Jacksonville got some funky stuff going on. They're stuck in a weird spot. They don't really know how to use Travis Hunter yet, and they're trying to figure that out. So I would say those are probably my two. But I can't knock the Pats on too much. The only knock I can have on it is that Carolina is not that good. I would have that knock on it. So. That's a fact. Appreciate it, man. Talking about the Browns like that, you got to be from Cleveland. That's a fact. Yes, I'm from Cleveland. Definitely from Cleveland. It's funny because now as I go into more streams, you got the NBA season starting, so I'll be talking more NBA. You got the Guardians in the playoffs. I'll talk a little bit of baseball. So I can talk any sport. My favorite sport is the NBA. I really enjoy the NFL. So I'm going to talk it all, but you can definitely see talking about Cleveland like that, got to be from Cleveland. It's a fact. So that's a fact. Good call by you. Good catch. But that's it. That's it for quarterbacking on the Tuesday. We're going to break down these quarterbacks every week on Tuesdays. I'm going to give you my notes. I'm going to let y'all know. Oh, you grew up in Euclid. Yeah, definitely. I gotta check you out. 222nd. Yeah, you grew up in Euclid, or that's right before you get to Euclid in Cleveland. So, yeah, I got to give you a follow for sure. Do you ever stream? I'll make sure. Let me see. Let me subscribe. Let's go. Actually, let's hit this button. Definitely want to check you out. Yeah, I lived up there for a little bit. I didn't live there for long. Oh, right in front of the library. Got you. Yeah, I know that area. I lived up there for a little bit. Um, right after high school, I lived up there for a little bit. Oh, you just start streaming on Saturday. Oh, that's what's up. That's what's up. Hey, man, stay on it. Stay on it. It's opportunities here. The landscape is changing, and opportunities are there. So let me find you here. Got you. That's what's up. All right, I got you here. Let me put it on the screen. Let's switch this out real quick. Yeah, I would say definitely get in it, stay at it. It's gonna take time to grow, but it's worth it, man. It's worth it for sure. So if anybody is watching, what do you cover? What games are you gonna cover? You gonna cover NFL, NBA? What you gonna get into? But I got you right here. Oh, you got 83 videos out. Okay. All right, you got some good looking thumbnails there. Okay, I'm gonna check you out. I'm gonna subscribe. Um, it's funny. So I'm looking at your I'm looking at your landing page for your YouTube, and it's funny because it was Harris Room Gaming. I see that. I actually started out gaming streaming. Football is practice, but I love the NBA for sure. I started out as a gaming streamer, and I was doing more on TikTok, and then I got more into I would stream video games because I was just like, all right, I'm gonna stream based on my hobbies. So I started with video games, and I was like, all right, this is not for me. So I would cover the Browns games on Sundays, and I would do a pre and post game show on TikTok, and it was really popping off. TikTok, all the stuff they got going on, it kind of took a hit. So I'm like, I'm going to push more on YouTube this year. So I've really been going hard more on YouTube. I prefer to do live streams versus the cutting and editing videos. So I went that route. But it's funny, similar routes. But shout out to you, man. I subscribe to the channel, so I'll be definitely looking forward to some of your stuff and checking you out. Just a few things I would say, man. Make sure you put together a schedule so people know when to find you, and make it as organized as you can so you go through it with a flow, with a conscious thought. And those few things will kind of get you ahead of other people that are streaming. So on the back end, I do a lot of research on stuff before I'm speaking on it. Tap in tomorrow. Tap in tomorrow if you're available. I'll be live 10:30 again, but I do different types of streams. So I go live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Sundays. So Mondays and Wednesdays, I'm covering different topics centered around like the Browns and whatever hot topics are. And then Sundays, I'm live streaming the audio for the Browns game, and I'm talking about the game, giving my analysis. And then on Tuesdays, I'm really talking about like quarterbacks and stuff like that. So definitely tap in, and I'll tap in with you too, man. All right, perfect. Yeah, I'm gonna check you out too, man. It's definitely a good thing. Last bit of advice I'll give you: don't box yourself into one subject. Don't box yourself into one team or box yourself in anything, because you don't know where your niche is gonna be. So it could be NFL, could be NBA, it could be player specific, could be team specific. So that would be my last point of advice. Don't box yourself in, man. Always be open to talking about different things, especially things you had a knowledge on. So shout out to you, man. Shout out to you. That's going to be it for today's stream. I know I usually go around 2 hours, but the Tuesday stream is a little bit shorter. We hit those quarterbacks. We go over what they're doing. We're adding some NFL quarterbacks to it. Wednesday, tomorrow's show, I'm going to break down third downs, all the third downs, because I think that's where the biggest issue is for the Cleveland Browns. Shout out to you, Zedric. We also going to get into some reactions of what local Cleveland media has been saying, especially some of that Rex Ryan news. So like, comment, and subscribe so you could be here for the show tomorrow. Of course, as always, we're going to put together a good one. I appreciate y'all. I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace.